Good day, this is T. Allen Stringer, and welcome to another episode of QBP, Questionable Business Practices. Last episode, you listened to a recorded conversation that I had with Nationwide's adjuster. During that conversation, we discovered several things. One, that Nationwide had written checks to the contractor that we were not aware of. Two, one of those checks was deposited without a countersignature and processed. Three, we did not find out about these checks until maybe 2 years later. Four, the adjuster said that it's not typical that they send checks to the contractor with the exception of mitigation, and he noted that some of the money had nothing to do with mitigation, but it was sent nonetheless. He also stated that it was not typical for it to be done that way. 5, he stated they have no way of knowing what the money was for because they don't have the invoices. And in point of fact, he stated that the prior adjusters did not submit it in their reports. Now, I want you to know that we had about 6 to 7 adjusters. We had managers working on this case, and the last aspect of this case, I was working with the vice president of claims for Nationwide for at least 7 or 8 months. So tonight, we're going to go further into that conversation, and you're going to be listening to a conversation with the same adjuster in which we discuss the electrical, because that's the thing that really derailed the process. And up to this current time, we have not concluded that yet. There's been no release because there are many questions or QBPs that haven't been answered yet. You're going to listen to the conversation, and I want you to note several things. Nationwide did not provide an electrical estimate until almost 2 years into the fire claim. And when they did provide an estimate, they actually changed the terms of the contract. Because according to our contract, we have a replace in kind contract. Whatever was destroyed or damaged would be replaced in kind. Well, in this particular conversation, we have a dialogue in which I raised the question regarding the power being downgraded because their contractor that they hired and that they paid that gave the estimate apparently had some kind of agreement with Nationwide, not with me or the church, to take our power down a step, producing all kinds of issues. And in point of fact, causing us to be where we are today with the project not being done. Secondly, I'm going to show you a video, and that video is going to reveal the condition of the property. And then I'm going to show you that that same adjuster that I'm speaking with during the conversation sends us a check with the depreciation in the check as if to close out the agreement. And he makes a statement to the effect in his email that he's giving us this depreciation, which is normally collected once everything is done. He's giving it to us because he states in his email, in light of the fact that the work has been substantially completed, we're going to release the depreciation at this time. See you on the other side. That's the okay. So now going back to the first adjuster, I don't know his name because it was like a short period of time, but the majority of this policy actually was dealt with by Andy. When it was kicked up the commercial, right? When Jeff came in, pretty much it was kind of set. It just needed to be cured a little. So when you came in, it was like the scab was already there, pretty much. So you came in and you got what you got. So my point is this, that the conversations I had with Andy, you and Jeff are not aware of.
Okay.
So this is why, for instance, now the electrical, which really has me concerned, not the code part, is the part of it looks to be, it's being downgraded from what I told Andy I wanted. Now, I wasn't aware of that until the electrician looked at it. I have a master electrician, and I had him here. He said, no, they want to bring your service down from where it is. Now, we had this conversation because Andy stood right here in my lobby, and we discussed it, and he said, well, do you want to keep the same power rating you have? And I said, yes, I do. And so that was my thinking of it. So I wasn't paying attention to anything after that. I thought that's what was going on. But my electrician is telling me, no, the proposal that you're looking at appears to be stepping it down from I think it's 800 amps that it is now. Again, that's what he said, and all that has to be verified. But if that's true, that's not what I asked Andy to do. Now we have a replacement policy, which means I get what I had. So that's the reason for getting some of the notes from him. So I need to know if that's the case. Then my first concern is that's not what I asked for. And so nobody has the right, as far as I know, to change that unless I change it. And so if that's the case, then we have a question that may need to be answered by your people as to how do we look at that. Now, there are notes that Andy should have had that talks about our conversations, and what do we do from here? So that's the electrical part. So, and which is the part we really need to get out of the way. Okay.
So I'll have to, because as you could guess, there's a lot of like notes and documents in your file that we have. Mm-hmm. So I'll have to like look through all of it to see like what Andy documented regarding that conversation or the electrical. Mm-hmm. I mean, up front, I could tell you, I mean, that really doesn't make any sense that we would write to like downgrade the electrical, because normally it's, like we would cover for what you currently have.
Correct.
And then if there's code upgrades, in the city that requires you to upgrade, you have the code coverage limit to take account for that.
Yes.
So as far as like, Andy or who was on this before, like writing for like downgrading it. I mean, again, I'll look at everything. Mm-hmm. That just doesn't it doesn't sound right. Like that shouldn't have been done.
Right.
So I could definitely agree with you on that.
So to bring you up to speed on that, certainly the electrical was downgraded, and we're in the process of trying to get it upgraded, but there are other issues relating to the code upgrade as to how much coverage I have and what the coverage actually covers, which I'll deal with in my next episode. Now let's take a look at the depreciation check. So you hear us talking about the electrical. And the check that I'm going to show you is the check that was cut to try to cover for some of the shortfall. Look at this check. Look at this email. Now, just a little caveat. However, I asked them not to send the check until I had a chance to run the numbers by the board, but they sent it anyway. And in sending the check, he also tried to close us out by offering the depreciation, which signals that you're done. And generally speaking, the way I understand it in insurance terms, when you have a depreciation being given to you, is because it was held back until you finished the work that you said you were going to finish. Upon inspection, they then give you the balance once they approve that you've done what you said you were going to do. And here is the rest of the money we held back. And look at these pictures. This is the state the building is in today. The $327,000, $325,000. That's the number that was given to the contractor. And it's more than that, but that's a whole nother discussion. But $327,000 was given, and that's the state of the building. This is the state of the property today. Does it look like that's completed? Or as he says in this email, as the work is substantially complete, Harleysville is releasing the recoverable depreciation at this time. Now that is a QBP experience. Questionable business practice indeed. Until the next episode.